I finally went inside and I couldn't stop crying. I was so humiliated. I go inside and I'm like, Marcello comes out and I just want to wring his freaking neck. Which I know I shouldn't have directed the anger to him, but because you're here, I gotta go through this. This was not, believe it or not, them canceling our visitations due to retaliation is basically not even the first time that my rights were violated. And that's crazy. Like, number one, they shouldn't be violating our rights. They shouldn't be violating the incarcerated citizens' rights. And if they did, it really shouldn't happen more than once. But for me, it has, because, you know, I've been on this journey for 20 years. So I have ran into good CEOs. I have ran into horrible CEOs. Hey guys, what's up? I'm back. It's your girl Cadillac. Want to show you my little shirt. I hand painted of Marcello, and there, can't hardly see it. I got a picture. I'll just put a picture in there of it. I did paint this to go to visitation for Marcello's birthday. I got a story time. It's kind of a continuation of a story that I started last year. I believe it was September that I did this video. It wasn't really a story time then. It was more of a rant, because Marcello had just got out of, actually he got off of, I had just visited Marcello. And he was due, it was one more visit in a maximum security facility. So we only had one more visit. This is after he was at a facility that was really close to home. He got transferred away. So he had to do max time, a year and a half, almost 2 years. And he was almost off that max time when the shutdown happened last year. So he was stuck in a maximum security prison, though he was not a maximum security inmate or incarcerated citizen, like we need to start calling them instead of inmate. But time to time, I'm trying to train myself into calling them incarcerated citizens. But time to time, I can slip and say inmate, and, you know. But he was due to be off of that. And we were thinking maybe he would get closer to home. You know, I knew he wouldn't be as close as that facility, because I don't think there were any closer than that. That was 30 minutes away. But I still thought that he could be 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, something like that. When I got news of where he was transferred, I found out he was 6.5 hours away. It blew my mind. That was the furthest he had ever been. Like, they transferred him. There's only one more facility that's further, which that's probably where he'll end up next, that further one. Because it is a endless day of opposite day. But he's at the second furthest away from the house. You can't really get too much further. So when I found out where he was, I'm like, really? Like, I was going through it. I just thought it couldn't get no worse. But little did I know it's going to get worse. Because now, you know, even though then it was really a struggle with all my disabilities, trying to travel that far to see him. Now I cannot see him at all. It's over. They took our visits from us, and I posted tonight on my Facebook, RIP to my visitations from 2001 to 2021. Yes, visitation is the only way that me, our daughter, and Marcello were ever able to be together as a family, like in real life. That was all we had, and it was taken away from me for basically no reason, just for retaliation. So it got me to thinking. So I posted that RIP to our visitations. Yes, that was it. It's over. 20 years down this long, dark road, and yeah, 17 more, and I cannot visit him anymore. So good luck with them 17 years, I guess. But it made me say that, you know what, the story I kind of started there, I'm going to continue that story. So that was September that I was talking about, that where he was transferred from when he was close to home. So it was really nice. It was so laid back. I'm just going to play that. I'm going to play that section for you so you can get that background so I don't have to repeat it. Because for so long, I always felt like I was in this on my own. I went through a lot of this prison wife journey alone, and it is a dark road. It's very dark. And it finally felt like I have a support system, someone I can go to, and people are actually listening to my story. I have told this story for years, but it just feel like people were tuning it out and they didn't want to hear it. They don't want to believe it. But it finally feels like people are receiving his story, and in turn, it's my story because I've been here the whole time. So I was telling him about how successful the petition is going, and I could just hear him smile through the phone. Like, he's always an upbeat, happy person. Like, he sees what I don't see. He always sees the positive in everything. It is so hard for me to see positive anymore, because anytime I find a piece of positivity, of faith to hold on to, it's always snatched away. It's always taken away and replaced with. But when I told him, I could hear him smile. He was smiling. He was so happy that finally, you know, somebody is fighting for me. People are actually listening to my story. And I feel like he was getting closer to coming home. If I could just get this off, you know, off the ground, which I have tried for 20 years, but I thought this was a difference in this year. There was different things happening, and I thought it could finally be our time. I absolutely hate looking up that website. I hate Googling that website, because when I look at that website, every time I look at it, I got to look at how much time he has left. I have to look at that horrible release date. I have to look at how hopeless this situation feels, because believe it or not, most of the time I forget about how freaking long he has left. I live in the now. I can't make future plans with him. I hate looking at that website because it reminds me instantly, oh, Keita, this ain't even the regular situation. You don't really have that release date to look forward to like a lot of other people that you know do. You have basically nothing or very little, very little. I have a little that I can look forward to. His release date is now 2039. So that's that. 2039. How old will I be? Trying to figure this out. Oh, actually, okay, we could do it this way. I'm 39, so it'll be 49. I'll be like 58 when he's released. And before I tell you that, let me get a little bit into the journey, like how hard and where I've come from. Okay, when Marcello was first convicted and sentenced, when you first get convicted in Florida, they usually put you the furthest away from your home. So by us being from Central Florida area, they transferred him, like he was all the way like up on the state line. We have Alabama, Georgia, and then Florida. So he was on the Georgia, Alabama, Florida, like state line, like way up there. So it was about a 5-hour drive. At that time, I was 20 years old. I had a baby. I used to work overnight. I made these 5-hour drives. And when you drive 5 hours, you visit for like maybe 6-7 hours. Then you end up visiting the next day for 6-7 hours. And then you drive home. You make it a whole weekend, because to drive that far, you can't really drive back the same day. You could, but it's really hard. But eventually I ran out of money, and I was no longer able to rent hotel rooms and rent cars, because I didn't have a good working car. So I would have to rent a car, rent a hotel room. This was a whole weekend thing from the time my daughter was a little girl and stuff. So I think I could afford that trip maybe once a month. And he was like 5 hours away in Apalachee Correctional Institution. I think he may have stayed at Apalachee maybe 3-4 years. I don't know. And then he ended up moving close to, I believe it was Jacksonville. He's been at several different prisons. They transferred them a lot. So he was by Jacksonville. Then he was by Gainesville at one point. And then they moved him almost down by Miami. They never like would get him close to the Central Florida area. So finally, one day I got a call, and he was saying he was at a Lake Correctional Institution, which ended up, Lake is really close to me. It was like a 30-minute drive. That was 2011. So from 2002, when they finally sent him off from the county jail to the prison, until 2011. So that's 9 years. 9 years, I would always have to travel far. I would have to make these long trips. I would have to do like weekend visits, like at a hotel and stuff. It would be the most, trying to get days off from work. It was a big struggle, and I was getting older. I was losing my sight. It was getting much, much harder to ride that road. I would have to like try to rush to get home before nightfall, because I had issues with my eyesight. I really didn't have anybody to drive or ride with me, so that was a whole struggle. But when he finally got back to home, I thought my struggle with that part was over. I thought that part was at least behind me. Now he's at least close to home. It ended up, I was able to visit him every single weekend, twice a week. When they had holidays, I would be at every holiday. Even if I had to work, I would come and see him before I go to work. I don't think I ever missed a visitation. And what's so crazy, when he was closer, it almost changed like our relationship, because while he's that far away, it almost feels like sometimes I'm in an imaginary relationship with like this imaginary friend or something. Like, to me, he's like the best person in the world, but all I have is like these freaking memories. That's all I have. I don't have a real relationship where I really lay next to somebody at night, where I really, when I have problems, I really can go to them. I have like this imaginary relationship. And when he got close to home, it felt real. It was like I would visit him at his house or whatever. And then we would talk. We could have phone calls like every single day. He would call like multiple times a day. Like they could call from whenever they wanted to. The phone calls were cheap, because the closer you are to your home from the prison, the cheaper the calls are. The further away you are, the more the calls are, which makes it harder to talk when they're further away. So I'm like, wow, this is like, I actually felt like I was in a real relationship at that point from 2011. until I would say 2016. He was there when my mother died. He was able to, like, I went to visitation the day after my mother died, and I was able to sit there and talk to, actually I couldn't talk. I was just crying on his shoulder or whatever. And he was able to keep calling me back to back to back and actually get through that with me. Shortly after that, he was at Lake. Lake started being like really like ridiculous. When he first went there, that camp was decent. It was the first one that actually felt like, you know, you weren't being like harassed all the time. It feels like that, like they just harass you, honestly, and that they just do way too goddamn much, things that weren't necessary. Like, I'm here to visit my family. I have done nothing wrong, but they really make you feel as though you have done something wrong. So this was the first time that I visited, and it seemed so laid back that we were able to visit. People weren't just harping on you, no matter, like, every little movement you do. Oh, what are you doing? What is that? Jackson, this, blah, blah, blah. Like, it wasn't all of that. But that place started to change. It started to get to be ridiculous. And I was like, in the visits, like, they would mess over our visits. Like, they didn't care that we were there to see our loved ones. Like, they don't care. They honestly do not care. It's not them. When you're not in that situation, most times you don't care because it's not you. They would put you through the most. We would have to camp out. It would be a long, long, long line. Visitation started at 9. It was to the point we were showing up at 3 and 4 and 5, early as we can in the morning, because the line would be so long. You would have to wait in the line for about 3 to 4 hours sometimes. And if you got caught in count, oh baby, that's a whole nother hour and something. So you would be there from morning, just camping out, visiting the other visitors instead of your loved one. You get in, maybe visit them 2 hours, and then it's time to go. But you know what? I went through that every single weekend because I needed to see him. And this was the first time he was close to home. He was reachable. So I went through that no matter what. I worked overnight. I was in college. I would bring my college books there, and I would just, since they were going to screw over my time, I was going to make the best of my time. And I would sit there and study for like 2 and 3 hours while I'm waiting to get inside. When it's almost time for them to call me, I put my little college books back up in my car, and boom, we into visitation. And to turn around, once you get out of visitation, you turn around and do it again for the next day. You just wait. Like, they don't really care. This is somebody's life, but they honestly don't care. It's like our lives are in their hands and they have the key to everything. But I did it because that's my loved one. That's who I love. And I go through it because that's basically what I have to. Those are the hurdles I have to jump over to be with him. I can't replace him. There is no other Marcello Jackson in this world. So I know the clear and logical solution is, hey, just Keita, leave him and get somebody else that's out here free. But somebody that's out here free is not him. There's no other Marcello Jackson nowhere. So all of a sudden, like, my daughter was finna turn 16. She was about to turn 16. We were all planning, you know, her visitation for that weekend. You know, I spoiled her, and she was supposed to, she planned her weekend, and, you know, that included going to visit her dad. And I get a call, like, right before the weekend, I think about that Thursday or Friday, and Marcello was, they had this big thing at Lake, and they were transferring a lot of guys out. And honestly, it was just way too much going on at that prison. But what bothered me was like, I had just told him, because I don't know how to say this, but I was kind of violated. Like, they were doing way too much. My button had went off on my shirt, and it was like they went through this whole ordeal where I had to be strip searched, and I felt degraded, and I felt, I honestly don't think they went exactly how those procedures were supposed to go, because what I was reading how that search was supposed to go, it don't feel like that's how it was supposed to go. I felt humiliated. I cried when I finally got in to visit that day, and I told him I would never visit you again. If I have to downgrade and degrade myself to come here to visit you, I cannot visit you anymore. So I think I took maybe 2 weeks or so off, and I said I wouldn't be back, but I can't, you know, I can't just leave it like that. And my daughter's birthday was coming up, and they transferred him out of there. Okay, yeah, so it was nice, but then, like I said, it started getting like ridiculous. They started transferring COs from the north, because northern Florida is where it's more like boot campish, and when you get towards like further down, it's not so bad. Like Panhandle and all that, it's like it's crazy. Like, it's a big difference, even though it's the same state. So he was transferred. I'm trying to hold the phone. Eventually, I'm going to get a, I'm going to invest in getting, well, I got a lot of things that I need to get. I need the correct things to hold the phone in the car, and you know, I'm gonna get it together. I'm trying. Shout out to my TikTok. I see that's where people are. I posted a video on TikTok and it has 200 something views. I posted it on YouTube and I have 15 views on that video. 15 views makes you feel like all the hours that you spend editing are for nada. But 240 in a couple of days make you feel like you did it for something. So maybe that's where I need to spend my time, over there on TikTok, because trying to break this YouTube algorithm is almost virtually impossible. And I'm tired of begging people like I'm Keith Sweat. But okay. So back to the story. So this was not, believe it or not, them canceling our visitations due to retaliation is basically not even the first time that my rights were violated. And that's crazy. Like, number one, they shouldn't be violating our rights. They shouldn't be violating the incarcerated citizens' rights. And if they did, it really shouldn't happen more than once. But for me, it has, because, you know, I've been on this journey for 20 years. So I have ran into good COs. I have ran into horrible COs. So I'm going to tell you another time that my rights were actually violated. Okay, guys, I think this is actually going to be about 2017. My husband was at a facility that was really close to home. I was able to visit him every single weekend, both days, and on holidays, anytime visit was there, I was able to visit. But they didn't like us visiting our loved ones so often, so they would make it very hard for us to visit, almost impossible. They would make us wait in extremely long visitation lines, virtually for no reason. They would claim, now this is how we know that this was just something they were claiming. There was a shift A and there was a shift B. Now, let's say on shift A, they moved the visitation line like this. Boom, 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 pow. On shift B, it can take you 2 hours per visitor to get processed to 3 hours to, it was even times that we would have to get there 2 to 3 hours early, park on the street. Then after a certain time, you can pull yourself off the street and you can pull up to the parking lot. And then you can wait in the parking lot. And then you have this long line outside, long pavilion. Don't even know who you're behind. You try to figure out who you seen came up behind this person, that person. So there's fights out there. There's no restroom out there. So when you have to use the bathroom, you have to basically, you've been in line for 2-3 hours. You have to leave, go to the McDonald's and hope to God you can get back in your spot. That's how bad it got. And we did this because we wanted to see our loved ones. We put up with so much disrespect. We put up with so much just unnecessary punishment. Yes, they punished the family as well. They punished the family. They always say, well, the incarcerated citizens shouldn't have done what they did. But what did the family do? But they punish us too. They punish us too. But we go through that because we want to see our loved ones. Okay, forget all that yap, yap, yap you're doing over there. You can hoot and holler. You can get mad. You can do this. You can do that. You can slow around. When they were mad, they would move in turtle mode. Turtle mode. So they take it out on you. They take it out on the family. They take it out on them, which they're already like serving their time, but they make it as hard as possible to deal with. So, and it's not about rehabilitation. Don't ever let them make you think that prison is where a person goes to be rehabilitated. There is no rehabilitation really in prison, especially our lovely state of Florida. We don't have much of anything here. No family visits. We don't have anything basically. So, we hold on to the small piece that we do have, which is regular visitations, which do mean a lot because now I can't have them. So, but okay. So I waited in that line. It was so long. And I realized that, they had just released this new information about bras, the bras that you wear. Don't wear any wire bras, which wire bras are so uncomfortable anyway, because the wire comes out and pokes you in your side and pokes you like between your breast and all that. They're uncomfortable anyway. Like, I don't like wire bras. Like, somebody by now should have been able to construct a freaking bra that does not do all of that. Like, for real. But anyways, I don't wear them anyways. And I try to be real picky about what I wear because it wasn't never a rhyme or reason. She can come in and her clothes can be tighter than yours. She can come in and her skirt can be short with her butt almost showing. She can come in with her top drop down low, but sometimes you can't come in and you basically, like, you don't understand why, because you have on just a regular freaking dress. So it's all this nitpicky. It's about who likes who, you know, they have the power over us and they use their power. So I try not to, I would always wear, like, it looked like the old church mama dresses, because you don't know if you're going to get in or not. You don't feel like going to try to, you know, go change and all that, because they do too much. Like, a lot of times when you have to go change, they're not going to let you back in your spot. So you start back over with that 3 and 4 hour wait. So you don't really want to be turned around. So I'm thinking I'm good. I'm thinking I'm good. Yes. My mother had just passed in 2016 in May. So I don't know if it was 2016 or it could have ended up being into 2017. So I was wearing a lot of her clothes and stuff like that. My mother dressed to a T. She always kept herself together, hair. She was, and I don't know how she did it because she did everything. She was the mother. She was the grandmother. She worked. She was in college. You know, she just got her master's 6 months before she died. So she was in school. She was working full time. Like, I don't know how she did it, but she always kept herself like top notch. Her hair was always done. Clothes, she always wore nice clothes. I'm trying to find the first t-shirt and jogging pants I can find to throw on and a bandana to throw around my hair. But she's kept herself together. So that day I had on one of my mother's shirts. And I'm thinking I'm good because you know how they have those little accents, the little buttons and stuff like that. So I'm thinking I'm good. I thought it was plastic. They were like silver color, but I really thought it was plastic buttons because it just didn't feel like metal. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm fine. I'm almost to the front. I wait hours upon hours upon hours. I get to the front and I go through, I know I have on my regular bra that doesn't have, you can't have too many snaps in the back. Like, you know, those bras that have, sometimes it's like 2 and then it's 3. When you get into having 3 snaps on your bra strap, that can go off. Even the little hoops that, where you can adjust your strap, that can go off. And when it goes off, they had just gave us these papers saying, just wear sports bras because you can be liable for a strip search if you do not make it through the metal detector. Because before you used to go through the metal detector and you can pretty much tell what's going off. So they had a little wand where they will wand you and it'll beep here, beep, 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 beep. So it's like, oh, okay, that's probably your, you know, bra. So then that's when they'll do the little pat search of your bra or wherever it was, it would kind of notify you like the location of where this is going off. So it makes it a little easier. The guard would then do a pat search. So now they were doing away with that. If you didn't make it through the, metal detector, you had to be strip searched. So I go through. I always just get through. I'm just there to visit. Honestly, I have only been there to visit. Some of these other women be on some other tips. Like, I ain't even gonna lie. They be on some other type of stuff. But I 100% only come to visit my husband. I wouldn't even come to your facility if he wasn't there. Like, I'm not interested in none of that other. So I'm literally there to visit, to see my husband. So it goes off. Metal detector goes off on me. I do not understand why. Why is the metal detector going off on me? So they're like, you can try to go through again. Now this time it was a lady. Back then it was so many, they would call them rookies. The COs that just started, like they would always say like the rookies, they don't know this and that. Oh, don't worry about it. That's a rookie, whatever. So this person that was processing us was a rookie and she was always super nice. But though she was a rookie, it's so crazy how she would move that line like this. But yet those seasoned COs used to draw it out. It would take hours. Oh, our system shut down. Oh, it's always something on that, you know, that shift. So, she was so nice, like really. So she told me to try it again. I try to go through again. Beep, 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 beep. It's going off. Why am I going off? Are you for real? You know what they said my choices was? That I can cut the thing off the shirt, my dead mother's shirt. I can cut it off. And I'm like, huh? What do you mean? No, I cannot cut off my mother's shirt. So I'm like, can I just go back to the car? And the lady, it is more than one guard up there. So one is like, you came through those doors. Okay, so you wait on a pavilion. And then at this institution, several of them are totally different, honestly. But there's usually like this gate. And the gate is like those chain link gates that close really quickly. So they push a button, let you in and stuff like that. So once you get in there, then there's a door. So I think it was only like 5 visitors sometimes. And it was always nitpicky. Sometimes it was 5 visitors in at a time. Sometimes it was 5 groups. It was just whoever was working that day. There was no rhyme or reason. You did not know what type of day you were in store for, but you didn't mind because you want to see your loved one. So the other lady's like, nope, you came through you're technically on our premises, so you cannot go back out. So the lady's like, we have to strip search you. So I'm like, okay, because they had already explained to us. It was one CO that was so super nice. This lady was really nice. You don't have to be a butthead because you're a CO. I mean, there's a job that you're there to do a job. Like, I don't fault you for doing your job because that's your job. It has to be done. But there are some that they're not even there to do their job. They're not doing their job, but yet they're doing this other random BS. You know what I mean? It's always, so you can't group everybody together. Not every CO is bad. I have come across a lot of great ones. A lot of them that try to look out for you, that treat you with respect. Miss Dixon, so she had came out and already told us, like, I'm telling y'all now, please just wear sports bras. We don't want to. Okay, so she wasn't there because it flip-flops. It's a new shift on the next, after that visitation. But she had just told us. So I'm like, I'm thinking I'm good. So they're like, no, she already came through and you have to be strip searched. I'm like, okay, so I have to be strip searched. I know I'm not bringing nothing into the facility. I'm not doing that. That's not why I'm here. I have nothing on me. I know that. I have nothing on me. So, okay, let's do the strip search. But this is the thing. The lady had explained to us, she was like, what it is, you'll be in a room. There will be a shade that you'll stand behind the shade. And what you'll do is you'll take off one article of clothing. So you'll take off your shirt. I'm on one side. You're on the other side of the shade. The CO's on that side of the shade, right? So I take off my shirt. I hand you my shirt. You pat down my shirt. You feel down the sleeves. You check everything. And then you keep it over there. Then you wand it too. Okay, so if you find whatever was making that noise, then you can stop there. So, and this is the thing. That's what one of them said. It's her buttons. That's exactly what one of them said. It's her buttons. So I'm like, okay. So, but the other one was like, nope, she has to be searched. Like, they were going to strip search me anyway. So, and that day they were strip searching a lot of people. It was like it kind of looked like they were strip searching the black women, but I'm not going to, because it was a couple of other, races that got strip searched, but it looked like they were strip searching mostly the black women. So, I take my shirt off, hand it to her. Oh, I'm sorry. So you take your shirt off. If it's not the shirt, then you have to go to the pants. You take that first layer off. Then you have to go to, if they still don't find what's going off, if it's not the little belt buckle, it's so easy to set them off. Just like your jeans, like jeans will set them off easy because it has the little circle buckle. It has those little peg things that's like on the buttons and stuff like that. So if it's not that first layer, you strip to the second layer. Then that's when, if it's your bra, you have to take your bra off now. You're behind a shade though. You take your bra off, you hand the CO your bra. They, fill your bra to make sure nothing's like woven into it, and they wand it and you're good. That's how we were explained. That is not how they checked me. That's not how they searched me. I didn't know it had to be 2 officers there. So they didn't mention that it was 2. Okay. I do understand, because you can't just have one, because then it's your word against my word or whatever. So when I went into the room, what it was, it wasn't what that lady told us. There was a shade, but the shade was turned to the side. So when they put me behind the shade, they still could see me. And I could see them. So they tell me to take off my shirt. I take my shirt off. It's one big woman there. And then it's the one that I thought was really nice. Like, lady, I thought she was, decent. Take off my shirt. They wand my shirt. And the wand, beep, 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 beep. It was the buttons. It went off on the buttons. They proceeded. Though it went off on the buttons and they knew it was the buttons, they proceeded. They told me to take off my pants. Well, I think I had a skirt on that day. Take off your skirt. Take off my skirt. And I'm not behind the shade. I'm behind the shade, but you're freaking looking at me from the side. You can see my whole body. Take off my skirt. Take off my shirt. So now I'm in my panties and my bra. So they're like, okay, take off the bra. Humiliated. I don't want to show you my body. This is my body. This is for me to look at and my husband. This is not for you to look at. But I understand I have to go through this to see my husband. I take my bra off. I'm completely humiliated. It's bad enough when you go to the doctor and your doctor sees you, but these aren't medical professionals. God. So I take my bra. They scan it. It's not the bra. They already knew it was the button. They knew from the beginning it was the button. Okay. This is where it gets crazy. The one that I thought was decent is like, pull down your panties. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but it's that time of month. And she's like, pull down your, oh my God. I'm freaking humiliated. So I'm undressed, like I'm completely naked. You're looking at me from the side. You see me, every inch of me. And I don't even understand what the point of this thing was, because you're looking right at me. Pull down your panties. I'm on my, you already know. And I'm take them off. I had to hand her so now I'm completely naked in front of two strangers, dripping. I'm freaking humiliated. They give me my clothes back and say it's your buttons. I'm like, are you for real? So you really just humiliated me for nothing? I finally went inside and I couldn't stop crying. I was so humiliated. I go inside and I'm like, Marcello comes out and I just want to wring his freaking neck. Which I know I shouldn't have directed the anger to him, but because you're here, I gotta go through this. I gotta be humiliated and downgraded and treated less than. Because I'm trying to see you. I couldn't do nothing but cry. He tried to hold me. And he didn't know what to say, because this is what we go through to see them. We're humiliated. They have to go through it too. They have to be strip searched to go to visitation. Grown man strip search. And I had to, when she had me take off my underwear, I had to cough as well. Squat and cough. During that time of month. Naked. And you're looking at me. But they go through it too. Grown men, neck, stripped all the way down, butt behind, naked. Yeah. The one thing I did forget to tell you though is that when the button was going off, first thing they did was present me with a paper, a form, where I consent to the strip search or I deny the strip search. To see my husband, I consented to the strip search. Though they violated me and did not do it in the way they were supposed to, I went through that so that we could continue to be a family. But guess what? This time when they let me go into visit, rush me into visit, rush. Now you're moving fast. You rush me into visit. I visit Marcello for 5 minutes. I just went through all your security checks. Just for you to pull me out of visitation after 5 minutes and tell me dogs hit on my car. You pull me out of visitation. You're dealing with a veteran. I have visited for 20 years. I know that what you're doing is not the way it should be. You don't give me that consent sign, that consent form to search my vehicle or not. But this is legit, and I lose my visits. You said indefinitely and laughed at me. That's how I know. Because of this story of what I'm telling you I've been through, that's how I know what they did is not the way it should have went. Hopefully nobody else has to go through either of these situations. The strip searching or the unwarranted search of your vehicle. Hopefully you don't have to go through that. Very humiliating. Either one. Very humiliating. I have been through a lot behind just trying to keep my family together. Me, my husband, and my daughter. But now, me and my husband, he has 17 more years and I cannot visit him anymore. All right, that's my story. And I am sticking to it. It's your girl, Cadillac.
It's your girl, Cadillac.